This is the year-end review for Advanced Functions and Modeling, and we're going to start with this video in the linear review. I'm going to split each section of the review into a different video just so you can focus on the part that you need. So we're going to start with the linear review, and I'm going to assume you have this paper in front of you. So write the equation, number 1, that has a slope of -3 and passes through the point 7,5. So the information we're given is the slope and a point, and those are always the two things you need to write the equation of a line. Now I prefer to use y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That is known as the point slope form. And the things you will plug in here are y1, m, and x1. y1 is our y value. Our y value is right here. M is our slope, that's right here, and then our x value goes here. So I will plug this in and have y minus 5 equals -3 times x minus 7. So I get y minus 5 equals, and I'll distribute and get -3x plus 21, and then add 5 to both sides and get y equals -3x plus 26. Now if you don't like the point slope form, you can also use y equals mx plus b. So I'll write that over here. You plug in 5 for y, -3 for the slope, and 7 for x, and then solve for b. You get 5 equals -21 plus b. Add 21 to both sides, you get 26 equals b. So you write y equals -3x plus 26. So either way you get the same answer. It's up to you. I will be using this version right here, but you're welcome to use either one, whatever you prefer. Question 2 says write the equation of the line that passes through the points -1, 4 and 8, 1. We need to find the slope. As I said previously, we need a slope and a point if we're going to be able to find the equation of a line. So we've used the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So you get -3 over 9 or -1/3. So our slope is -1/3, and then we can use either one of these points to make the line. Doesn't matter which one. I'm just going to pick this one because it's first. So I do y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, giving me y minus 4 equals -1/3 times x plus 1, because minus a -1 gives you plus 1. So when I distribute the -1/3, I get -1/3 x minus 1/3, and then add 4 to both sides. That gives you y equals -1/3 x plus 11/3. Okay, moving on to number 3. Given the line y equals -8x minus 5, what is the slope and the y-intercept? Well, remember, a line is written in the form y equals mx plus b. M is your slope, that's the number that's attached to x, or the coefficient of x, and b is the y-intercept, that's the number that's by itself. It's not associated with x. So our slope is -8, and our y-intercept is -5. Number 4, write the equation passing through the line -8, 10, and parallel to y equals -3x plus 8. Parallel means the same slope. Well, if you look at this one, it has a slope of -3. So our line is also going to have a slope of -3. So remember that parallel means same slope. And then I'm going to do y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So minus -8 really gives me plus 8. So I have y minus 10 equals, by distributing the -3, I get -3x minus 24. And then add 10 to both sides, give me y equals -3x minus 14. Now number 5, instead of being parallel, is perpendicular. So they tell us that the line passes through the point -1, 0, and is perpendicular to y equals 1/3 x plus 8. Okay, the slope of this line is 1/3. Now a perpendicular slope is opposite reciprocal, meaning you change the sign, so since it's positive 1/3 we're going to need a negative, and you flip the fraction. That's what reciprocal means. So you get 3 over 1 or just 3. So perpendicular means opposite reciprocal slope. One way you can check that you've done it correctly, you should be able to multiply this slope and this slope together and get -1. And they do in this case. So then we do y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Again, you get plus 1 because it's minus -1. So you end up with negative 3x minus 3. Okay, for number 6, we have 3 times x plus 2 plus 7 equals 2 times x plus 50. So I'm going to distribute the 3x plus 6 plus 7 still, and then 2 times x and 2 times 50. 6 plus 7 is 13. So we get to this point, and then we want to combine our like terms and get all the x's on one side and get all the numbers on the other. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. That just gives me x plus 13 equals 100. Then subtract 13, and I come to my final answer, x equals 87. Now number 7, so solve for a when we have 5 over 2a equals 10 over 3a plus 4. So since everything else is a fraction, it may help you. You don't have to do this, but it may help you if you just put this as a fraction and call it 4 over 1. To solve this, when your variable is in the denominator, you're going to need to find the common denominator. Okay, we have a 2 and we have a 3, and we also have a in both of them, so the common denominator is going to be 6a. Because you need a number that has both 2 and 3 in it, so that would be 6, and you just need one a because that's the most a's that any one of them has. So then you come back and you multiply everything by 6a. And if it helps you, what you're really multiplying by is 6a over 1. You don't have to write that part, but if that helps it be more clear to you, you can. So if you watch what happens, the a's cancel here, and you get 6 times 5 is 30, over 1 times 2 is 2, equals, the a's cancel again, 6 times 10 is 60, over 1 times 3 is 3, plus, nothing cancels out here, so I just get 24a over 1. Now 30 over 2 is 15, 60 over 3 is 20, and we get plus 24a. So then subtract 20 from both sides, you get negative 5 equals 24a. Finally divide both sides by 24, and we get a equals negative 5 over 24. 8. Write as an algebraic expression the product of 6 and the number. Okay, so we'll just call the number x. So product of 6 and the number, that would be 6x, because product means times, added to the quotient, that means divided by, of 7 and the number. So 7 divided by x. Number 9, we are talking about the U.S. House of Representatives. There are 50 more Republican representatives than there are Democratic representatives. So that means the Republicans outnumber the Democrats by 50. So the number of Republicans is the same as the number of Democrats plus 50 more, because there are 50 more Republicans than there are Democrats. In other words, you have to take the number of Democrats and add 50 to get to the number of Republicans. Now in total there are 432 Republican and Democratic representatives. So R plus D is going to equal 432. How many representatives are Republican? So I'm going to take the fact that this is already solved for R equals D plus 50, and plug that in for R. So I get D plus 50 plus D. So again, the part in parentheses is what I replaced R with, and that's going to be equal to 432. D plus D is 2D plus 50 equals 432. I subtract 50 from both sides and get 382. Then divide both sides by 2. So I get D equals, 191, excuse me. And then we can plug this back in here to solve for the number of Republicans, because Republicans are this number plus 50. So the number of Republicans is 241. Now finally, number 10, we have I equals 2 plus PRT, and we're told to solve it for t, so we're trying to get t by itself. First is to subtract 2 from both sides. Now I minus 2 doesn't do anything except just give you I minus 2, but that's fine. And we're trying to get t by itself, so we need to divide these two parts, p and r, by both sides. So it's by itself, and we get t equals I minus 2 over PR. Now for number 11, you have to use a table, and I've already plugged the table into the calculator here. It represents the number of rocks here in L1 and the height of water here in L2. So part A says plug these values in your calculator and run a linear regression to find the line of best fit. What is the equation that your calculator finds? So you go to Stat, Calc, and right there to number 4 where it says linear regression. Hit enter, and it gives you the linear regression. So for right now, you can ignore the r squared and the r. They're not necessary for what this problem is asking. But up here it gives you the format y equals a times x plus b. So our equation is going to be y equals 3.89x plus 0.43. So if you'll give me a moment, I'll write that up. Y equals 3.89x plus 0.43. That's part A. Now part B says what is the slope of the line? Remember, slope is the number in front of x. Now we usually call it m and they call it a here, but it's the same thing. It's whatever number is attached to x, that coefficient. So our slope is 3.89. This is part B. And it says what does the slope mean in terms of this problem? Okay, slope always means the change in y per x, or the change in y with respect to x. So in this case, our y value, that's the column on the right, is the height of water, and our x's are the number of rocks. So it would be the change in the height of water per rock. So the change in y per x. So the change in the height of water per rock. Now C, graph the line in your calculator. How do you describe the line? Now one thing you can do when you run the linear regression that I didn't do, but I will now and go back and do it, is when you go to Stat, Calc, go down to number 4, linear regression. Oop, I went too far. And you hit enter. Before you hit enter again, while it's still just up here in your calculator, if you do vars and then yvars, hit enter on function, enter on y1, what that's going to do is automatically plug this line into y1 for you. So then you hit enter. It's the same equation as before. Now you can see down here it has graphed it for you. So as far as part C is concerned, it says graph the line in your calculator. How would you describe the line? Well, it's first of all linear. It is a straight line. And second of all, it's increasing. So you basically want to talk about the shape and the direction. The shape and the direction. Now part D, what is the Y-intercept? Well, that would be this number over here. That's 0.43. The Y-intercept is always the number by itself, the number that is not attached to x. And the Y-intercept always means the amount of y when there are 0 x's. So in this problem, that means the height of the water with 0 rocks. And then part E, using your equation from part A, determine the number of rocks needed to bring the water level to 40 centimeters. So looking back at part A, the number of rocks represents x, and the water level is 40. So you put in 40 for y, and then solve for x. So I'm just going to do that part in my calculator. I'll do 40 minus 0.43 and then divide by 3.89, and that should give me my answer, which is about 10.17. About 10.17. Okay, and then finally F says using that same equation, determine the height of the water when 10 rocks are placed in the pitcher. So you're trying to find y if you plug in 10 for x. So 3.89 times 10 plus 0.43. You get 39.33. Anything in that ballpark is going to be good.